So, welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be looking at this church and the surrounding landscape on the outskirts of Littleport in Cambridgeshire in the United Kingdom. So here's our sketch. We're going to focus here around the church. Obviously we've got a few crows, lovely ploughed field, some fencing, and just a few suggestions of other buildings, sort of linking it all together, and a little bit of distance. So we'll move that to one side, we'll use that as our source, and we'll get stuck into this. Okay, the sketch is done, and we're now going to start the painting. So we're just going to do an underpainting to begin with some raw sienna. So let's just bring that in so we can see that. Hopefully we can see this raw sienna. So this is just going to be a quick, really fast underpainting, unifying everything really. Remember, the focal point is around the church. Don't need to be too precious about that. There were no notes on this sketch, so we're just going to have to make this up. Let's go in with some cerulean blue, touch that in just to suggest some distant trees. And we'll pop in a little touch, let that bleed in there, of ultramarine blue. Okay, we really need to let this dry off before we move into the next part of the building. We'll dab in some kind of distant bluey grey trees in there and just let that do its own thing. So that's stage one complete. So this is dry enough to work on. We're going to move into this number 12 round brush now. And we're going to start to work on some of the church, which we're going to go back into the similar colours, a little bit of ochre there, yellow ochre, and raw sienna. So pop that in there, nice and liquidy, and that'll dry off. There we go. Now I'm looking back at the sketch and sort of thinking where to go next on this. I think we'll pop in some grey, and this grey I'm going to mix up some primaries, basically blue, red and yellow, which should give us a nice little grey. And we'll pop some of that in for these distant trees. So we've got one line and another line of trees going off into the distance, and we'll mix that up a little bit with, we'll warm it and cool it up there, that's better. Okay, I'm going to be thinking now about the buildings that are here. Let's pop in some of this burnt umber, so kind of warmer tones. There's kind of a whole row of them there. There's a suggestion of a few more here, but I'm not going to be too precise about that. Another field. Just keep this nice and liquidy. We have traditional kind of earthen field. We'll warm it up a bit at the front by adding some more pigment in, and then with the tip of the brush we'll kind of guide in these ploughed field lines there. Let's just go a little bit darker on this side to balance up the church here. In terms of, I'm thinking in terms of shapes. That's when I'm talking about balancing things up. There's blocks of shapes and tone. Okay, and then we've got a hedgerow along here, so I'm just going to add a touch of blue, just lightly touch this in for this hedgerow. Won't make it too uniform, because this is us bleeding in there to the where we suggested the buildings. That's okay. And we'll just pop some of this in here as well, just to give it a little bit of variety. Just testing this to make sure it's nice and dry. I just need to sort out the edges of these buildings. And the ends. And then we'll put in some fencing and bits in there. The next little thing I can do without disturbing things too much is pop in some of these branches, and hopefully you can see, pushing on, pushing off, how I'm doing that. I don't want to go too mad with these, there's not many. Less is more, that'll do. I'm just going to put the foliage in around here. There are a couple of, well, they look like cypress trees. We're going to mix up a green now to bring this in. Making sure to leave some tiny little specks of the underpainting coming through. I think I'm going to bring that right the way down to the, that's better, to the fence in there. I mean, these two kind of going to mix in together, but when we bring the shadows in, that's going to bring all of that back in together. We'll just pop in some darker tones, especially on this left hand side. The shadow is on the left hand side of the painting. Just be careful there. It's kind of coming across the front of the church. I don't want to bleed that in too much because it'll just bleed into this liquid. But that will help. A bit of dry brush in the back there for the background of that one. The same in here. And then we're at the stage where we need this to dry again. So just going to put in a couple of scratches just to indicate the ploughed fields. Just a couple in here, just to create some little highlights. It's easy to go mad on this, but it does really help. So we're getting to the end of this. I'm going to put in a few details. This is burnt umber with this small brush. Just be careful on there. A little bit more liquid on there than that. Just bits there. We'll pop in touches of the church there. I'm going to pop in a couple of windows. See a few of those in here. Don't want to be going too mad with that one. A few of the tracks in here, we'll give some darker in tone, and dry brush as well. Kind of guiding the eye towards the church, that's where we want to be. And also pop in a few. There's my cat jumping around in the background, beeping away. Just suggestions of a little fence there. I don't want to go too nuts with that. I think that's kind of got it. Some bits under the eaves. And then let's pop in some of this green mixture in here. Just taking care to leave some of these sky holes in. And then really just going carefully next to the edge of the church to define that. It's kind of behind, this is one's in front. Just mirror some of this green in here. So suggestions in the background. I'll pop in a shadow in this side just down here in a second. And some more shadows, but we're getting close to finishing this now. Let's just pop in a few stronger lines. Just mix it up, allow it. Bit of dry brush work. Don't want everything the same tone. Just a couple of chimneys on here. What I am going to do, I'm going to grey off some of this. Some of these, they're just a bit too strong. We need to keep the eye around here, so I'm just sort of tonally putting them back. This is where we want to focus. And here, and this tonally needs to come down, will be dampened off. Right, we'll mix up some, get rid of this mixture here. And we'll pop in the final bit. Ultramarine blue. And some crimson. For our shadow colour. I'll pop that in quickly in here. Touch of a shadow in there and there. Shadows on this side of the buildings. Just a few in there. And we'll pop one across the front there. Just get a bit of a stronger mixture in the foreground. Shadows are on this side, so it means that there would be something here coming across. We can have the shape of a tree or something like that coming over. And we'll make them a bit darker as well in tone. There we go. A few shadows on there we go. soften off some of this just with liquid, clear liquid. I might just strengthen up that shadow in here. Just touch in a bit more tone. Well, I think we're just about done on that one, so hopefully you enjoyed that. Remember to subscribe, to like, to comment, and to come back soon for some more content. So the final thing to do, take off the tape, see what we have underneath, and there we go. Nice little painting. Get rid of this. I hope you enjoyed that. Take care now. Happy painting.